We start right away in this episode with Paul Dano, who is overacting in his fake scene. And it actually sort of made me wonder. I'm like, in his other roles, is he an overactor? I think he kind of might be. Welcome back to The Rank. I'm John, and today we're going to be starting the solo series that you might have heard if you downloaded or listened to the Thursday release, where I said I was going to be starting this solo series called One to John. Now, you may have been asking yourself at the time when you listened to that, and still now, what the hell does One to John mean? And I'll be honest with you, I asked myself the exact same question when our producer Antonio pitched this to me, and so we're all going to find out together. Isn't that fun?
Fun?
Yes, fun.
Now, as the title of this episode may suggest, I'm going to be ranking the pilot episode of the new show, The Studio. I picked it because it's kind of a fitting show for The Rank, since we've been ranking sitcoms and movies, and this is the sitcom about making movies. Now I kind of want to rank a movie about making sitcoms. That'd be kind of fun.
Fun?
All right, so let's talk a little bit about The Studio. It was created by best friends and comedy partners Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg, along with Alex Gregory, Peter Hike, and Frida Perez. The show is essentially a send-up of the traditional Hollywood movie studio that is being run by somebody who loves the movies but has to often sacrifice the art of the movies for the business side of things, especially in this day and age when movies are seemingly dying. Now, it's starring Seth Rogen and Ike Barinholtz with a few other regulars like Catherine Hahn, Catherine O'Hara, and Chase Sui Wonders, and a lot of fun Hollywood cameos. Now, let's dive into the first episode called The Promotion. And this episode was written by all five of the creators and directed by Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg. And first, we're going to start, as we always do, with the Potent Notables. Little switch up for the sitcom Potent Notables. This is an Apple TV Plus show. I'm not going to have ratings numbers, so I'm not going to do those. I will try to find some information about like viewership numbers and stuff if you guys are interested in that. Comment if you want that. Either way, here's the Potent Notables. The first one, just a couple here. The studio's owner in the show is played by Bryan Cranston, and his name is Griffin Mill, which is the name of the amoral studio executive in Robert Altman's The Player from 1992, another behind-the-scenes cameo-laden movie about Hollywood. This show has become known for doing a lot of oneers. Now, a oneer is basically a scene that's one long take with no cuts or edits. It's a really difficult thing to do, especially the longer it goes, the harder it is, right? Because you have to have it perfect through the whole scene. What's interesting is that Seth Rogen has said that the average number of takes required to get a oneer right this first season, has been about 16. I mean, that's kind of wild if you think about it, right? Imagine doing, 5 to 10 minute scene with no cuts, and then you finally yell cut, and then you got to do that all over again 16 times. That's a lot. But anyway, those are the Potent Notables. Let's go on to the episode overview. Now, I want to start this out by saying that I love even just the idea of getting inside baseball Hollywood industry jargon. I'm fascinated by the movies and how they get made, so this show has an instant appeal for me. And I'm guessing if you're listening to this, probably has an appeal for you too. What I wasn't expecting from this was the frantic, anxiety-ridden Chevy Chase movie style action that it was. It actually reminded me a lot of Silicon Valley. I don't know if you guys have seen that before. It was on HBO a few years ago. I really enjoyed that show, but sometimes it gets really hard to watch people just lose all the time. So I'm hoping it doesn't become that. Now, there's a lot of wheeling and dealing the way I imagine Hollywood is like, and I would be inclined to believe that these caricatures aren't very accurate. But ever since the show has come out, there's just been a ton of talk, like from producers and studio executives and people just talking about how accurate it actually is. Now, I have to hope that it's exaggerated a bit, because if it's not, Hollywood is really pretty dysfunctional if this is accurate.
Oh, it's accurate.
But we get a whole bunch of cameos in these. We start right away in this episode with Paul Dano, who is overacting in his fake scene. And it actually sort of made me wonder. I'm like, in his other roles, is he an overactor? I think he kind of might be, but whatever. You know, I've still enjoyed him. It makes sense there'd be a lot of cameos in this, and they didn't scrimp. Paul Dano is first, but we also get Martin Scorsese, Charlize Theron, and Steve Buscemi, and of course, as mentioned earlier, Bryan Cranston actually plays a role in it. The other ones were playing themselves. So speaking of Bryan Cranston, he plays the CEO of the studio, and Catherine O'Hara is the studio head, Patty. But we don't meet Patty until the end of the episode. We just hear about her because she's been fired at the very, very beginning of the episode. It sets it all up. It's basically setting up who's going to replace Patty, which very quickly you find out is going to be Matt Remick, played by Seth Rogen. We get some pretty clear allusions here, like the show takes place at Constellation Studios, which feels like a very clear homage to Universal. They make fun of Hollywood for trying to find IPs all the time for everything from, in the show, they talk about everything from an IP movie of Jenga and Rubik's Cube to Kool-Aid. And Kool-Aid is actually the crux of the episode. Matt wants to make a really good movie about Kool-Aid and thinks he's going to be able to make that happen through Martin Scorsese, who wants to make a movie about the Jonestown Massacre, which is the source of the phrase, he, she, they drank the Kool-Aid. Now, of course, it doesn't work out the way Matt wants it to, because he bitches out basically throughout the entire episode. He also kind of constantly lies, and then he has to figure out how to make his lie become a truth. Just to be clear about what Jonestown is, maybe you don't know, it was a cult massacre. It was a cult led by Jim Jones. They laced the Kool-Aid. I can't remember with what, but they all killed themselves by drinking Kool-Aid. So that's the story of that and why it's part of this episode. But I don't want to give a ton away for this episode. I assume that most anybody who's watching or listening to this has seen the first episode of the studio, and that's why you're here in the first place. But just in case you haven't, spoiler alert on this, I'm going to give away some plot details. But I want to mention this because there's a moment here where I think Matt could have gotten himself out of the situation without lying and just putting a different spin on it, but he doesn't. All right, so there's your warning, your spoilers coming. So Matt, once again, he's bitching out, and he decides to pitch a non-art house version of Kool-Aid. So the whole thing is he's like, I'm gonna do the art house version. And then as soon as he sees the CEO, Griffin Mill, Bryan Cranston, he bitches out and he pitches the more family-friendly version. But Griffin Mill says, hey, what about this Jonestown movie that you bought from Scorsese for $10 million? What's going on with that? Because we can't have a movie about how Kool-Aid fucking killed a bunch of people, right? So Matt panics and says that he bought the movie specifically to kill it so that it wouldn't hurt Kool-Aid's reputation. And the only reason I have an issue with this is because earlier in the episode, we're told that it wasn't actually Kool-Aid that they drank. It was a generic knockoff called Flavor Aid. I thought, well, why doesn't he just say that he bought it because he wanted to redeem Kool-Aid's reputation by making a movie about how it wasn't actually Kool-Aid, it was Flavor Aid. It's like a 1-2 punch of fun blockbuster and then redemption. But whatever, that's not the direction they went, but that's what I was thinking when I watched it. All right, spoiler over. We get a couple of bookends in this episode. One is a repeated line. Paul Dano says it in the beginning, and then Catherine O'Hara, who's Patty, says it at the end. It's not exactly the same, but the sentiment is, you'll make a great boss because you had a great teacher. The other is that they use a tracking shot through every scene in the episode, which is what we're talking about with the oneers. And they close with Sal, Ike Barinholtz, and Matt, Seth Rogen, watching the famous tracking shot from Goodfellas, which is, I would assume we all know, one of Martin Scorsese's best movies. And if Zach ends up listening to this, he would say, no, it's the best fucking movie. But that's it. That's basically the whole episode. Let's go into the rank.
Oh, rank.
So in the rank, I have 5 categories that I rank on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. And that's story, acting, dialogue, episode coherence, and character relatability. So for story on this episode, I gave it a 4.5. I mean, for me, I love the inside baseball storyline for the Hollywood movie studio, right? It's just fun for me. For acting, I gave it a 4.25. I thought the acting was pretty good. It's a lot of comedy actors sort of overacting, not terribly. It's not the best acting ever, but it's pretty damn good. 4.25 is a really good score. Dialogue is a 4. It's fun. It's got a good story. It goes through really well. It's not super funny though. Episode coherence is a 4. It cohered really well. I didn't have any issue with understanding how we got to where we were. I don't think there was really a problem. I mean, even when he's lying and has to make his lie become a truth, it's pretty coherent. So on to the last category, character relatability, which I gave a 3.5. While as much as I enjoyed the story, And as much as I thought it was coherent and the dialogue was good, I think the characters, because of the lying and because of the franticness of it and like the just putting yourself in all these bad situations, it's sort of hard to relate to because I feel like a lot of people wouldn't put themselves into these situations. It makes them look really inept. It's not that they're unrelatable. It just feels like it's almost a little too far. Now, the last part of this is we have a laugh counter, and the laugh counter is just however many times the episode made me laugh throughout the entire runtime. And in this case, it was 7. Not a huge laugh counter here, but still a good episode. Now, that's going to lead us to the ultimate ranking here, which is we're going to rank it on a scale of 1 to John. So on a scale of 1 to John, I'd give it worth trying on to see if it fits. You know, like you go to a store like Target, you go to Target, right? And you're like, oh, that's a cute little outfit. And you want to try it on and see how it looks on you. Like, does it look cute on me or does it look cute on the rack?
I get it.
That's what I'm ranking this episode. So thanks everybody for joining, and let me know what you think. You know, comment, subscribe, do all the stuff that Antonio is going to be mad that I don't remember to say. Do that. Go to Patreon and support us also. There's all these things that you should do. I'm not good at self-promotion. I'm sorry. I feel like that's got to be nice for you to not listen to me self-promote, but there you go. That's my version of self-promotion. So thanks again for listening. Because Antonio has told me, stop touching your face.